Hello everybody, I'm Charlie from Dr. Wen, and welcome along to yet another daily Doctor Who YouTube video. As promised, I am back, and today I will rank all episode 7s of New Who. So I will be separating two-parters for this, so I will only include the first or the second part. And these are The Idiot's Lantern, The Unicorn and the Wasp, Kill the Moon, The Long Game, Can You Hear Me, The Rings of AKHATEN, KERBLAM, The ZYGON Invasion, 42, The Pyramid at the End of the World, Amy's Choice, and A Good Man Goes to War. So there they are. Overall, I have an incredibly high average for these. The top 7 spots out of these 12 are all 9 or above. So these are the highest average besides episode 13's. Anyway, let's get into this video and I hope you enjoy. Also, I'm going to be doing 2 videos today since I only did no videos on Sunday and I only did 1 video yesterday. So to make up for that, I'm going to do 2 today. Anyway, let's get into this video. In 12th place we have The Idiot's Lantern from Series 2. Overall, this is just a really forgettable episode. I think it's the weakest in Series 2 of New Who, except maybe for Tooth and Claw. Rose is terrible in this, she does absolutely nothing. She gets her face sucked into this machine in the first 20 minutes, and then she does completely nothing. I think this was where I hated her most, and yeah, in Series 2, I didn't really like her that much. The final battle is pretty bad on that radio tower. It's like it's trying to replicate the 4th Doctor's regeneration episode, Logopolis. And The Wire is a really weird villain. I think it's a very generic concept, and it just seems like a bit of a monster of the week sort of thing. Yeah, I didn't really like The Wire. Overall, it's a pretty forgettable episode, and yeah, just pretty meh. In 11th place we have The Unicorn and the Wasp from Series 4. I've given this a 6.7. Series 4 is known for being one of the best, if not the best, series of New Who. But I think The Unicorn and the Wasp doesn't really deliver on that, but just much like the first few episodes of Series 4, they're not the greatest. It's a good concept, this murder mystery, but it should have been purely that, and it could have been a pure historical rather than having aliens like historicals seem to always do now. Donna is brilliant in this. I think she's at her absolute best here. She's really good here. But it's bland and a little bit boring, to be honest. The Wasp is probably the weakest villain in Series 4, even worse than the Adipose and the Pyroviles. I think they're better than this. But yeah, it's a bit forgettable and, I don't know, one of the weakest in Series 4. In 10th place we have Kill the Moon from Series 8. I've given this an exact 7. I think it gets a little bit too much hate for how slightly good it is. Lots of people seem to really hate this and give it like a 3 or 4 out of 10. My lowest rated episode ever is a 4.9, so I might be going a bit easy on these episodes, but I don't know, Kill the Moon plot-wise isn't that bad actually. I don't know, it's a stupid idea, to be honest, the whole moon egg, and that side character Courtney is pretty annoying, but that creature design with those black and red spiders, that was really creepy actually, and we do get some development with Clara having that outburst at the Doctor, because the Doctor was, I don't know, a bit harsh in this episode when he makes them choose whether to blow up the moon or not. I think that was very off character for this Doctor, even for Series 8. But yeah, it's alright. Like I said, Clara gets some development, it's got okay creature design, but yeah, this isn't the most ridiculous thing to come out of Doctor Who. You'd be surprised at Classic Who. In 9th place we have The Long Game from Series 1 with 7.5. You may be noticing a pattern that the first sort of halves of the RTD series aren't the greatest, but he redeems himself in the second half a lot, because in these last few episode 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s and 5s and 6 ranked, then the RTD ones always lower down, but this is a prime example of this. I've given it a 7.5. Lots of people think this is the weakest in Series 1. I agree. I agree to an extent. I think there is some slightly worse ones. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Boomtown. But Adam Mitchell is pretty bad, and I'm really glad he left in this episode. I really didn't like him at all, but I suppose he was meant to be bad just to show that Rose is an important character. The Jagrafess and the Editor are pretty bad villains, and they weren't really needed. But it's got quite a good setting. It's very futuristic, and yeah, I don't think it quite deserves the hate it gets. In 8th place we have Can You Hear Me from Series 12, and I've given this an exact 8 out of 10. This is actually a really underrated story, and lots of people really hate on the Chibnall era, and especially this story. They seem to think it's one of the weakest of Series 12, except maybe Orphan 55 and the Timeless Children. I really disagree. I think this is actually one of the strongest. Yaz gets some proper character development in this, which I think will probably continue into Series 13, since she will be staying and the focus will be on her, which is quite good because none of the characters have really got that much development, except maybe Graham in Series 11. It can be argued that it's a bit of filler before the 3-part finale, but this actually has really good villains. I think they're actually really creepy, and it's quite odd with the whole ear finger things. That was a bit weird, but overall this was still a pretty strong episode, and it really doesn't deserve the hate it gets. In 7th place we have The Rings of AKHATEN, which I've given an exact 9 out of 10. This may surprise you because The Rings of AKHATEN isn't known for being one of the greatest stories of all time, and in previous lists I've actually given this a 6.8, which I don't even know why I put that there. After a rewatch, I really enjoyed this story. This has an awesome speech from the Doctor, as you can see here in front of that huge sun. That was really cool, and probably one of the greatest speeches in all of New Who, except for the ZYGON inversion. It has really good world building as well, everyone singing to this old god, and it's got really creative creature designs as well, with all these kind of aliens in that marketplace. I thought that was really good. The other enemies that are kind of chasing after the Queen of the Years, that was a little bit weird, but Modern Clara, this was her first adventure, and it was really good seeing her reactions to everything. I really like all episode 2s as well, because that's the first that has lots of companions' first kind of reactions to everything. So yeah, it's really good and an incredibly underrated story. It doesn't deserve the hate it gets. In 6th place we have KERBLAM, which I've given a 9.1. This is an interesting episode. Lots of people seem to really like the first half and absolutely hate the second half. I think the second half is arguably weaker and the ending is really confusing, but overall I really enjoyed this, why I gave it a 9.1. Those postmen are pretty cool villains actually, and it's funny because they seem so innocent, but actually they're pretty sinister, and it's a really good concept as well, this kind of evil space Amazon. It's quite funny. The 13th Doctor is brilliant in this. She actually wears a fez, which is just awesome, and a good callback to the Moffat and the 11th Doctor's era, and it has really consistent plot as well, and it's got loads of mystery behind it, like what's actually going on. The ending was a little bit of a letdown with the bubble wrap being poisonous or something. That was just a bit odd, but yeah, this is still a really good story and I really enjoyed it. In 5th place we have the ZYGON invasion, which I've given a 9.2. I think this episode is overshadowed a bit by ZYGON inversion, because overall I think it is a bit better and the Doctor's speech is brilliant. It has an awesome cliffhanger with Zygella, Evil Clara, shooting a rocket at the Doctor's plane. I thought that was brilliant. This also has a really good twist with Clara actually being a Zygon. I thought that was really good, and I honestly wasn't expecting it, even though this was a Zygon story, which leads me to this next point about the whole mystery behind the episode, who is a Zygon, who is a human. We never even know. The entire time I was expecting the Doctor to be a Zygon. And this also launches straight into the plot. It's not like the TARDIS lands somewhere or anything, it's just straight into it, and I don't think the TARDIS is even in this episode. I might be mistaken though. In 4th place we have 42, which I've given a 9.2. This is the only Doctor Who story to have a number as the title, which I think is quite a common theme within Chris Chibnall, because he has lots of odd titles, with Can You Hear Me having a question mark and KERBLAM having an exclamation mark. It makes sense for one of his earlier episodes to have a number. I think this is one of Chris Chibnall's best episodes, if not his best episode. It's also really sad as well. I thought Martha was actually going to die by crashing into that sun, because it was fairly late into the series, and yeah, I thought she was actually going to leave in this story. I don't think it really deserves the hate it gets. I feel like lots of people just don't like it because Chris Chibnall wrote it and he gets lots of criticism for series 11 and 12, which I don't really agree with. It was also a really awesome idea, trying to have 42 minutes to escape from the spaceship before it crashes into the sun. I thought it's really good and a really underrated story. It does not deserve the hate it gets. In third place, The Pyramid at the End of the World. You probably weren't expecting this either. It's really, really good. I've given this a 9.3. This is really, really underrated. I think this is actually the strongest in the Monk trilogy, which is still pretty consistent overall with Extremis and The Lie of the Land, both having 9.2s. But I just really like the overall feel of this. There's so much mystery and it's quite small scale, which is really good actually. I think RTD had a habit of doing huge scale episodes, but this is just proof that Stephen Moffat doesn't really do, large scale finales. But we'll get to the Dr. Falls in a bit. Yeah, this is really good, and the monks are pretty cool villains, but I wish we saw more Bill and Nardole. They weren't really in this story all that much, and I wish we saw more of them because they're really good companions, and I don't think they were utilised as much as they could have been in the Monk trilogy. In second place, we have Amy's Choice, which I've given a 9.4 out of 10. I think this is just a really good idea as well. I feel like this is the absolute peak of their characters, and it's only in their first series, and it's got like Amy choosing between the Doctor and Rory. This is only Rory's second adventure with the Doctor, but it feels like he's just part of the TARDIS team now. Stephen Moffat's writing is brilliant in this. I think it's Stephen Moffat that wrote this. The Dream Lord is a brilliant villain, and I really want him to make a return in future stories. I have a feeling he will be in series 13 because loads of people have been asking him to be in it. The villain design is okay. I think it's a bit odd with the eyes coming out of their mouths, but it's still alright, and it doesn't, drag this episode down at all. And it's got a really good sense of mystery, like which is the dream, which isn't the dream. It's just really good. And I do like the conclusion where they find out that both of them are dreams. So that was really good. In first place, you were probably expecting this, is A Good Man Goes to War, which I've given a 9.5 out of 10. This is an epic finale to Series 6A, and it's just really, really brilliant. It has an awesome reveal with River Song actually being Amy and Rory's daughter Melody, and it's got really good concept as well, like, this group of people going to war with the Doctor, and also that reveal with him being one of the Headless Monks was just awesome. I really liked that entire scene with the I Am the Doctor music while, all of his friends and companions were dropping from the ceiling. That was just really, really good. This also has some brilliant fight scenes with Rory and the Paternoster gang against the Headless Monks. I thought that was really good. And I also quite like this because the Doctor always seems to win in his adventures, but he actually lost when you think about it because they managed to kidnap Melody Pond. So I thought that was actually a really good idea to do, and this overall is just an incredibly strong episode and I love it so much. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, everybody, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe. I noticed only 60% of you are subscribed, which I suppose is an improvement, but if you like this video, feel free to like it, and yes, I hope you enjoyed. Next time. So tomorrow, or actually later today, then I will be ranking all 7 episodes of the third Doctor story, Inferno, since I did a review video on it just a couple of days ago. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.